Greetings, YouTubers, and especially you, Coonkiller92. By the way, it has come to my attention that your real name is Peter, so I will be calling you that. You can feel free to call me John. So in one of Peter's videos, he stated that he will debate anyone, anytime. So I, of course, decided to take him up on that offer. If you are not familiar with Peter's work, there is a link to his profile in the video description box. For those of you who don't want to investigate him yourself, he is a Christian and a young Earth creationist who is apparently a fan of Kent Hovind. Anyway, he asked that I make the first video in our debate series, so I'm going to go over several arguments used by creationists that I think fail to achieve their goal of showing evolution to be false and creationism to be true. I will then ask Peter some questions for him to respond to. Okay, so the first argument I hear from creationists is that there are no transitional fossils that would show evolution. This statement is simply false. There exist many transitional fossils in the record. Some of the more popularly known ones are Archaeopteryx, Australopithecus afarensis or Lucy, Tiktaalik rossae, and Ambulocetesis. The video you are seeing now is an animation of whale evolution that includes Ambulocetesis. Now you may ask yourself why, if these fossils are so abundant and easily known of, do creationists, and on occasion intelligent design proponents, continue to argue that transitions are nowhere to be found? Well, they often claim that all of these examples are either fully one thing or fully another and do not constitute a transition. Of course, the kinds of things that they ask for are not what would be predicted based on evolutionary theory.
Plus, Darwin said in order to prove evolution, which is the #1 alternative to God, you've got to be able to prove transitional forms, one animal transitioning into another. And all through the fossil record and life, we don't find one of these. A crocoduck. There's just nothing like it.
And the fossils that do exist are exactly what we would expect to find. In fact, I'm going to let Ken Miller, evolutionary biologist, deal with this. The second argument that I often hear from creationists, and this argument is also especially popular among intelligent design proponents, is that mutations and no other natural process can add information to a genome. I cannot think of any definition of information that will allow for this objection to be true. Mutations and natural selection can increase information by any definition that I can think of, and even the one I got from a YouTube user and creationist named Christian Hillbilly while talking with him on Stick'em. The definition he gave is the one from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary and is as follows: the attribute inherent in and communicated by one of two or more alternating sequences or arrangements of something, as nucleotides in DNA or binary digits in a computer program, that produce specific effects, a signal or character, as in communication system or computer, representing data. This is a fine definition and is added in evolutionary processes. For example, if a chromosome is duplicated and then subsequently changed through mutations, this is quote-unquote new information. Okay, now I want to ask Peter some questions of my own. The first is there any potential piece of evidence or proof that you can think of that would convince you that God does not exist? This piece of evidence does not have to exist. I'm just asking if you could think of one that could exist. Secondly, why do you choose the name Coonkiller when you must have known of the racial suggestions? I take you at your word when you say that it has to do with hunting raccoons, but surely you must have known that this name would be confusing and have a double meaning. Thirdly, what do you think is the single best piece of evidence for creationism? And finally, why do you remove so many of your videos? That's all I have to say for now. I'm awaiting your reply.